images telling us, mga kababayan, tayo po ba ay napabayaan na ng Diyos, nakalimutan na ng Diyos, tayo po ba ay pinaparusahan ng Panginoon? Marami po sa atin ang nagtatanong, a lot of our kababayans also here still waiting to hear from their loved ones in the Philippines. 4 days, 5 days na nilang kinokontact. So what do we make out of all these things? Kasama po natin ngayong hapon sa kababayan LA, Father Ben Alforque, who's the parish priest of Saint Catherine of Alexandria?
Yeah, I'm the parochial vicar.
Parochial vicar of Saint Catherine of Alexandria. Also, he is the president of NAFCON. Can you tell us a little bit about NAFCON, sir?
NAFCON is a National Alliance for Filipino Concerns. And we are engaged in promoting and defending the rights of the people, of the Filipinos in the United States and their welfare here in the United States, as well as we're engaged in international solidarity work with the situation of the Filipinos back home and other peoples of the world who are concerned with the promotion and defense of their rights and the promotion of their welfare as well. And
today is Talk Tuesday on Kababayan LA. That's the number on the screen. We're going to have our last caller for today. Will get a Zoom shout-out, free money transfer. Alam ko marami sa atin nagpapadala ng sarili nila sa mga nasalanta ng bagyo sa Pilipinas. So that will be helpful also. But today, Father, like I mentioned earlier, sinabi po ni Congressman Matt Defensor, it's an act of God. Nobody could have predicted na 2 months worth of rain in 5 hours. What do we make out of this?
It's a difficult question. And we know that our Weather Bureau, Pag-asa, has always failed to tell us what's going to happen. When it says it's not going to rain, it's going to rain. When it says it's going to rain, it's not going to rain.
In addition to that, Mighty Defensor, I interviewed her yesterday, and she said na ang sinabi daw kasi ng Pag-asa, signal number 1 lang. So they really didn't think any of it.
And that is not an act of God. The huge rains, rainfall greater than Katrina. Scientists have been talking of the change of the weather condition because of the global warming, that big hole in the sky. That is not an act of God.
Pero Father, if it's not an act of God, we all were taught that God is all-knowing, all-powerful, almighty.
Yes.
He can stop things from happening.
He can. He can. But then he would also be intervening and violating the freedom of the human person whom he created in his image. The other thing is the incapacity or inability of the Philippine government to give adequate help. When you have $800 million that are spent for the travels of the president, she took away emergency funds for her travel. That is not an act of God. In other words, there are existing conditions in the Philippines that had caused this to happen. And when we look at Scripture, the Bible, we always say that, wisdom literature says we are punished with the very same things with which we sin.
Oh.
We are reaping the fruits of our negligence, of our greed. At the same time, it is true that the forces of nature can be very difficult to contain.
Right.
That is also true. On the other hand, God has given us also the capacity to tack with nature. For example, when I was a kid,
take care
of nature.
Father, let me cut you. Let me first take this phone call.
Okay.
We'll get to you after your story when you were a kid. But let's first take this phone call from Noemi. Hi, magandang hapon sa'yo, Noemi.
Yeah, good afternoon. You know what? Napapanood ko, no? Naiiyak na ako. Anong ginagawa ng mga US Navy? Yung US, natin, pwede naman tayong humingi sa US Embassy ng tulong para doon sa mga boat na kailangan ng mga tao dahil sa bundok.
Noemi, yun bang mga kamag-anak mo naman ligtas sa panganib?
Naman ng Diyos, ligtas sila. Kaya lang may mga kaibigan ako, lalo doon sa Antipolo, sa Kainta. Para mga kapatid ko na sila. Ngayon, ano rin ginagawa ng mga natin, mga Navy?
Okay.
May mga boat na
We have already a lot of promises for help. Like the U.S. initially has given, like the U.S. Embassy in Manila. I think they gave 50,000, and the U.S. aid is coming out with 100,000.
And I know United Nations.
Japan is coming up.
Yeah.
United Nations. Yeah, and of course, here the Knights of Columbus. You know, they're having a fund drive all over the U.S.
Right.
You know, and the Knights of Columbus, the church. Yeah.
I think that's a relief to know as well. We will be back to take more of your phone calls. Kung meron kayo din mga panawagan sa mga kamag-anak nyo na hindi nyo pa nakakausap, 4 days, 5 days na, we will be back to take that as well. Don't go away.